Welcome back to VibeVision, where we take a deep dive into classic cars that defined eras and shaped motoring history. Today we're looking at a truly iconic Australian machine, the 1963 Holden EJ. This car wasn't just another model release, it was a landmark in Holden's design language, and it represented a big leap forward in both styling and engineering for General Motors' Australian division. The EJ is a car that enthusiasts still talk about with admiration, and in this review we'll take a closer look at its exterior, performance, and a short glimpse inside the cabin to see why it continues to hold a special place in automotive history. The first thing to talk about when it comes to the Holden EJ is the design. The EJ introduced a much more modern and sophisticated look compared to the outgoing EK series. By the early 1960s, Holden was feeling the pressure from Ford, Chrysler, and imported cars that were looking sleeker and more advanced. With the EJ, Holden decided to shed the last bits of 1950s design language and embrace a more contemporary, squared-off body style. The result was a car that instantly looked more refined, elegant, and purposeful. The front end of the EJ is one of its most striking features. Gone was the old-fashioned rounded grille, replaced with a wide horizontal grille design that gave the car a lower and broader stance. Chrome accents stretched across the grille and headlight surrounds, giving it a bold and commanding presence on the road. The headlights themselves were neatly integrated, framed in chrome bezels which made the car look cleaner and more upscale. Below the grille, the bumper sat wide and polished, giving just the right amount of visual weight to the front. It was clear that Holden was aiming to project a sense of class and maturity with this new model. The body lines of the EJ were sharper, more linear, and less bubbly than the EK. This was a key part of its visual transformation. The fenders were squared off, the doors flatter, and the roofline sleeker, creating a more aerodynamic profile for its time. The designers incorporated subtle creases that ran along the sides, giving the car a well-defined look without going over the top. The EJ was also slightly lower and wider than its predecessor, which enhanced its road presence. From the side, you could really see the balance Holden achieved. Clean, uncluttered surfaces with just enough chrome trim around the windows and along the body to give it flair. At the rear, the Holden EJ continued the theme of modern elegance. The tail fins of the 1950s were completely gone by this point, replaced with a flat, squared-off boot lid and neatly integrated tail lights. The tail lamps were horizontal and simple, again reflecting the trend of the early 60s toward more restrained styling. The rear bumper echoed the front with its wide, chrome finish, completing the symmetrical, squared look. The overall effect was a car that looked stylish yet practical, with just enough sophistication to appeal to middle-class Australians, while still being approachable for everyday buyers. The EJ was offered in several body styles, including sedans, wagons, panel vans, and utilities. Each body style carried the same modern design cues, making the lineup versatile and attractive to a wide market. Holden also introduced the premier trim level with the EJ, which was the brand's first real step into the luxury car market. The Premier stood out with its metallic paint options, white wall tires, and more chrome details, making it instantly recognizable as the top-of-the-line choice. Now, let's talk performance. Under the hood, the EJ continued to use the trusty gray inline six-cylinder engine that had been around since 1948. This was a 2.15-liter engine producing around 75 horsepower, which may sound modest by today's standards but was reliable, easy to maintain, and perfectly suited to the needs of 1960s Australia. The gray motor had proven itself as a durable workhorse, but by the time the EJ rolled out, it was starting to show its age. Still, it remained the backbone of the Holden lineup until it was eventually replaced with the more powerful red motor in the following EH series. The EJ's engine was paired with either a 3-speed manual gearbox or a Hydra-matic automatic transmission, which was offered for the first time in a Holden. This was a huge step forward because it meant buyers could finally enjoy the ease of an automatic in a locally built car, something that had become increasingly important as motoring culture shifted in the early 1960s. The manual gearbox was column-shifted, keeping the cabin floor clear, while the automatic added convenience, especially for city driving. On the road, the EJ wasn't a powerhouse, but it was smooth and dependable. The gray motor delivered steady torque, making it suitable for both urban commutes and long country drives. The car's suspension setup was relatively simple, with coil springs in the front and leaf springs in the rear, providing a decent balance of comfort and durability. It wasn't a sports car by any means, but it handled the rough Australian roads with confidence. The steering was light enough for city use, though not as precise as modern standards. Braking was provided by drum brakes all around, which required some planning at higher speeds but were acceptable for the time. For most Australians, the EJ was less about raw performance and more about being a reliable, stylish, and versatile family car. It was a car that could carry kids to school during the week, take the family on holiday during the summer, and still serve as a dependable workhorse when needed. That versatility was a huge part of Holden's success story. Stepping inside the EJ, you immediately get a sense of how Holden was starting to move toward more comfortable and stylish interiors. The base models were simple but practical, with vinyl seats, a painted dashboard, and a straightforward instrument cluster. However, the Premier trim really changed the game. The EJ Premier offered leather upholstery, bucket seats, metallic paint, and even a heater as standard equipment. This was the first Holden that truly gave buyers a taste of luxury without jumping to an imported brand. The dashboard layout was clean, with round dials for speed and fuel, and chrome touches around the controls. Space inside was generous for the era, with good headroom and legroom, making it comfortable for families. The EJ wasn't just about looks and comfort, it was about signaling a new chapter for Holden. It showed that the brand was capable of moving beyond purely utilitarian vehicles and into the realm of stylish, modern, and aspirational cars. Buyers responded positively, and the EJ became a strong seller, cementing Holden's position as the dominant force in the Australian car market during the 1960s. Looking back now, the 1963 Holden EJ holds a special place in classic car culture. It represents the moment when Holden really grew up as a brand, stepping into a new design language and offering more options for buyers than ever before. From its elegant squared-off exterior to its dependable but aging powertrain, and from its simple base models to the luxurious Premier, the EJ offered something for everyone. For collectors today, the EJ is highly sought after, particularly the Premier models, which were produced in smaller numbers. Restored examples often draw admiration at classic car shows, and they serve as a reminder of an era when Holden was shaping not just cars, but the very identity of Australian motoring. That wraps up our review of the 1963 Holden EJ. It's a car that may not boast the speed or technology of modern vehicles, but it carries with it the charm of an era where design elegance, practicality, and reliability were the key to winning over buyers. The EJ wasn't just a car, it was a statement, and it set the stage for even greater things to come from Holden. Thanks for watching VibeVision, and if you enjoyed this journey into Australian automotive history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments about the 1963 Holden EJ.